The Eyes of Texas, it's something that we all know what it is. It's our alma mater. Um, we've heard it, sung it. I've had the luxury of playing it with the band, but it's something that's really a part of our UT culture. Um, so the next story that, I heard was something that really changed the way I looked at things and, put a lot of things into perspective for me. So this is back my sophomore year. It was at a weekend long event with an organization, and it was called the Change Institute. Change meaning that there's going to be a lot of talk about social justice and, um, inequalities and racism and, all of these things that we don't really talk about on a day to day basis. Um, so we have been having, a lot of good conversations, and I can't remember how exactly it got to the point, but this girl stands up. She was a senior, and I won't say her name, but she stands up and, she starts saying how she doesn't feel comfortable singing The Eyes of Texas. And to everyone's face was just like, why? But, we didn't say anything. It was her time, and she goes on to say that she doesn't feel comfortable singing The Eyes of Texas, and neither do a lot of other black students feel comfortable singing it because of its history. And she goes on to say that the history behind The Eyes of Texas was in that it was written, as a mockery of slavery. It was written as a mockery of black people. Um, that it was pretty much the eyes of Texas are upon you, is pretty much saying that the slave owners' eyes are always going to be on the slaves, and the slaves' actions are always going to be watched. And saying that you can never get away, meaning that no matter how hard you try, you're not going to be free, meaning that slaves were always meant to be slaves, and white people were always meant to be above everyone else. Um, and you could tell that, she was very passionate about this story, like the way she spoke, like everyone started listening. And, I felt that that story was something that a lot of people should know. I know I didn't know the history of it beforehand. And I felt that other people should know too, especially since she mentioned that, when the song was actually presented, it was done as a minstrel show. So, like, people were dressed in blackface um, for the song that is now our alma mater. So when I started, like, telling other people, and I've actually told her story, like, a billion times, can't remember how many, but, I guess, like, the way I said it, I felt that it didn't really mean as much coming from me, um, not just because I'm not black, but, it's something that I have grown up to be passionate about, but at the end of the day, I still find myself singing along to it. Um, but when I tell her story, I'm just like, it's more of like a informational as opposed to, this is why I feel about this. So when I tell her story, I'm just like, hey, did you know The Eyes of Texas was actually written, um, to make a mockery out of slavery? Did you know that, when they performed it, they did it in blackface? And did you know that they did it at that time because, there was still a lot of history of racism on this campus? Um, so I guess you can say it does lose some of its meaning, but I think I pretty much, like, lay out the facts and say it for what it is. Um, and again, like, my main reasoning for just, like, making sure that people know is just, I think we all have the right to know the history behind our alma mater, especially if we're singing it, especially if, like, we're recruiting people. I mean, obviously it's not going to change, but it's something that people have the right to know, and I'm going to keep retelling her story as long as I can. Thank you.